What's up, guys? I'm Tim. Welcome to the channel Outcast Services, and today is our first video on this channel. We had a channel in the past, and unfortunately we had to step away from it, go a few other directions in life, but now we're definitely back and we're going to hit it harder than ever. We're inside the shop here. This is kind of the area where we'll be filming the podcasts and having people on. We are going to do a podcast following this YouTube channel, so if you want to follow with that, I'll put a link in the description below, and we'll get the podcast rolling as well, guys. But basically, this video is just to get you a little bit caught up. I'm going to take you out into the shop area, and I'm going to show you our current project, which is a 78 K5 Blazer. And I'm going to get you caught up on exactly where we are on that Blazer build, show you everything that we had to do to it, maybe talk a little bit about some of the hurdles that we had to overcome on the project. And then I want to take you over and I want to show you the body, because the next thing we're going to be doing with this Blazer project is lifting the body up in the air high enough to get the chassis underneath it so we can land it back on and complete the truck and get it back together and make it a running vehicle. Now, we don't have a lift or anything special here. We work out of our home shop, so everything is, old school, do it by hand, figure it out. And I have a clip that I'll put in this video and show you guys the first attempt we did, but unfortunately LMC had sent us the wrong body mounts. So that's a little error on my part, I'm not gonna lie. I could have opened the LMC box a few days ahead of time, but it was very cut and dry. I mean, it was 78 through, I think, 84. The body mounts were the same, something like that. So, I mean, that was the kit I ordered. And then, of course, LMC didn't have the kit that I needed. They sent me a kit for a Suburban, an 80s Suburban. And of course, the K5 Blazer kit is out of stock. So we went through energy suspension, and those bushings should be showing up here shortly. I'm sure by the time this video is released, we will have already got the new bushings and hopefully put the body back on. So the video coming after this, guys, will follow right in line, and you'll be able to see it without having to wait too much longer. A little bit of a delay on our end. It costs us money when we're working on a project and we get to a point like that and we have to stop. So I'll talk a little bit more about like that kind of stuff on the podcast end of it. This channel is going to be a little bit more like hands-on, working on the Blazer, building the trailer that we have out back that's going right now. And then I'm going to take you guys on site when we do some of our little mobile welding repairs, fence work. We work real close with the owners of the liquor store down here. Imagine that. And they get broken into, or they get, their security bars bent up and things don't work right. Whatever the case is, we do little maintenance stuff for them. I don't want to ramble on. I want to get you guys out into the shop. I want to show you the Blazer build, kind of build the interest on this video a little bit, and then we'll talk more and more about other things as we go. But I think all in all, it's going to be a fun channel. I'm excited to be back. I'm going to put out lots of videos, and we'll get into it. I'll give you a quick flash real quick here. You can see that we have our CNC machine. It's in the process right now being set up. Unfortunately, we have to buy a brand new laptop. Computer, laptop, whatever it is that'll run that version of the cut program requires a much higher OS operating system than the Apple stuff that I currently have. So that's fine. We'll do what we got to do. So we're making those adjustments now, and we'll get that whole process set up. And as soon as that thing is sparking and going and cutting, we're going to get you guys in there with us, and we want to come up with a cool logo or something that I can give out to the followers and subscribers and stuff like that. So that'll be a totally fun thing here in the shop as well. I better stop banging the table. It makes the camera go blurry. So let's get out into the shop and see where we're at. Okay, guys, I want you to keep in mind that when this Blazer came into us, it was just a 78 K5 Blazer. There was literally no bells, no whistles. It had some 33-inch tires on it. It had a 350 Chevy. that's actually right here. So that's a whole nother story we'll get into. But this thing was oil stained. It had, you know, the Z-Bark coat or whatever on all the chassis. It was an Arizona truck, so pretty little rust on the body. We'll walk around that later, take a look at it. But all in all, this thing was as rough as it could get. Not crashed, not damaged, not bent, not, you know, tweaked, nothing like that, but just from 78 to 2020 when it came in here, had just taken quite a beating and had been out in the desert and just lived a great life, to be honest. So what you see now is kind of the aftermath of what it's taken me and our shop to get to. I mean, I don't even really know how to explain it other than the fact that we took this thing all the way down to bare metal. We shot the chassis with an HVLP gun. So we used the air compressor. The ultimate goal on this K5 when it came in was to just clean it up, do the LS swap on it, and make it a reliable vehicle. But, you know, when it came into my shop and I got my hands on it and I started really getting to dive into it, it was like turning into a cooler and cooler project as we went. So I basically wanted to take it all the way, and luckily we have a phenomenal client. The guy who's having this truck built by us, he's really a good dude. I've actually worked for him, worked with him. I mean, we'll get further up into the engine and everything here in a second. So we stripped the frame all the way down. We shot it all. One thing I learned there, we'll start there, is I would have took it straight to the sandblaster and not even messed with it. We had never done a frame off. This is our first one. Again, it's not going to be a frame off restoration. It's kind of a frame off mod, you know, because it's definitely not original. I would have took it straight to the sandblaster just because, for the simple fact that it probably took me 2.5, every bit of 2.5, 3 weeks to strip this frame, and it's still not perfect. It's a little dusty right now. There will be hours and hours and hours of detailing that will go into this. Obviously, once it's put back together, I mean, that'll be the last thing. And one of the more time-consuming things is when this thing leaves our shop, guys, it'll be as clean as I can get it. I mean, I'll go around and do brush, touch-up paint. We'll literally do everything. As far as after the chassis went, it was the Deaver spring lift. So those are Deaver springs. They're out of, I believe it was Santa Ana, California. Great guys down at Deaver. We ordered those and they took every bit of probably 6 months to get these leaf springs. That's how long it took. And that, even being said, the day we went to go pick up the leaf springs, they only had the fronts ready. And they messed up on the rears, and they actually had to rush ship them to me because they felt bad and whatever. It didn't really matter, but they held up to their end of the deal. So we got those on, and then our front and rear axles, we took the front and rear axles all apart, ordered all brand new Yukon gear, internals for them. The rear housing was actually so ate up, we had to get a new used Chevy housing from Hooper's Rear End out in Los Angeles, and they actually put in all our gear sets and everything for us, which was great. That's another thing that I was so glad I did, because I was going to attempt to do all the gears myself, and all that, which is great. But man, by the time I would have bought all the different tools and everything I needed just to do those gears at the time, it just wasn't practical. So then we moved on. We got suspension done. The chassis was painted. The axles were in. We got the front steering high steer in. I'll go up here and show you guys the front high steer. It still has a few things that kind of just need adjustment as far as alignment and stuff goes. Again, everything is super dusty right now. But I believe that's the Sky Off-Road knuckle, I believe. Or no, Reed Racing from Sky Off-Road. And you can see our redhead steering box we went with. So that's top of the line aftermarket 2-wheel drive style to accommodate the high steer. We still need to put a steering damper kit. So then we got that pretty much all in, and then it was time to figure out our transfer case. Meanwhile, while trying to figure out our transfer case, we had went and picked up a LS LQ4 6.0 with the 4L80 transmission. It was used, I believe it's a 2000. And then our original transfer case was not an NP205. I even forget what it was. It's like an NP250 or something. At the end of the day, they recommended me away from it and said, if you're going through all this trouble and you're building this bad of a truck, you need to get a hold of Todd over at T Cases. He's in Arizona. And I'll tell you right now, this guy built us a bad ass transfer case. This thing's going to have twin stick, so it's going to have dual shifting cables coming off of here, twin stick, front and rear diff, the whole bit. On this transfer case, we had to build this cross member you see here. I don't know how good you guys can see that, but you can see it basically bolts to the transfer case, comes down to this greasable rubber mount, which hits a crossbar and then bolts into the chassis. So we built that here in shop. And then we also had to modify the original cross member you can see under there. Guys, all we had to do for this with the NP205 adapter from the 4L80E for the cross member was literally buy that rubber bushing kit and extend the cross member, make it a little longer on the one side, and we were able to get this to fit. Let me take you under there and see if you can see. We've got those washers in there so that it's not frame on frame. So that was very challenging. That took a really long time to get all of those figured out on this particular unit. But all in all, I think it sits really, really nice. The drivetrain has a nice amount of fall to it. And I think it's going to make for some really nice drive shafts. We're going to get those made at JE Reel in Pomona. From there, we completely hand rebuilt the LS engine ourselves here in the shop. The engine itself has the factory crank with all new bearings. It has new pistons, new rods. I put ARP bolts in everything. Brand new aftermarket heads. It's got the, and see, I read into all the heads. We went with the RHS Rec Port, I believe it was. Nope, Cathedral Port, sorry. I always get those mixed up. Cathedral Port heads to match our Holly Sniper unit. We went with the Sloppy Mechanic Stage 2 cam. So this thing should kick ass, man. We've got some nice headers on there that came from Speedway Motor and a Serpentine kit. Now, to get these headers to fit, believe it or not, we had to do quite a bit of trimming here. You can see the clearance on the headers between the transmission. Doesn't really focus well, but I had to cut off a portion of the transmission. I had to grind down a portion of the block. You can see that gap there is very small. And then this side turned out really well, but we had to cut that there. All of the information that I got on this was literally piecemealed together from people that had done like different types of builds that were similar, but nothing was exactly what I had going on. So man, I have so many hours of research in this vehicle, in this project. But man, has it sure turned out nice. We got the Holley Sniper fuel pump set up in here with return line. I've already ran all of the electrical. This will be our fuel cell vent, so that's no big deal. We'll run that over to the side. We put protective hosing sleeve over here where it runs down the channel. And then for the fuel line, what we did, guys, is we went ahead and got these holders here and did top and bottom and just ran that all the way down the chassis. And then we get over here and we have our filter there, and I was thinking that that's going to be a pretty easy spot to replace the filter, you know, down the line if you really needed to be able to crawl up under the truck and replace it there, but yet it's out of the way. And then obviously our fuel lines stop here. I have the intake just setting on there to show you guys what it's going to kind of look like, but we're going to set this whole unit under the chassis, under the body, sorry, before we pretty much go any further. I have the rear portion of the brake lines are complete. They stop there, so I'll be able to get to that and run it even with the body on. Won't be an issue. I'm sure I'm missing what else I did to the motor. Heads cam, it's got Michigan Motorsports push rods, and you know, these heads came built with the dual beehive springs. I mean, this thing's, I'm hoping to get like 450, 500 horsepower out of this bad boy. What do you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. We got the Holley Sniper Terminator X whole tuning kit that's going to go in on this thing, which is going to be freaking badass, because that's going to make our life a lot easier, and it's going to give this motor the best chance to be a ripper. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of details on this thing, but I just wanted to kind of show it to you guys. And if you guys are working on a project like this, comment, dude. I want to know what you guys ran into and see if anything I'm showing you is like, oh shit, how did he do that? Oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'll take you guys with me, man, as I hook up the whole rest of the engine and hook up all the transmission cooling lines, speedometer, the drive-by-wire, all this stuff that we're gonna do on here. So I'm gonna run you guys over here real quick and just show you the body, so you can get an idea of kind of what it's like. Now the body has been completely coated with it's not rhino liner, but it's a type rhino liner. We had a company come out and shoot the whole undercarriage and firewall of the vehicle. The body's pretty dull. I did start to polish out this door, so you can see the body cleans up pretty nice. We'll have to have this thing up in the air quite a bit. I'll put a clip in here. We got 2 engine pickers set up going opposite ways. We got our steel beam coming across, and it's body strapped at the factory pick points. Get it up high enough, we'll be able to slide the chassis underneath, hopefully with very minor issues to no issues. I'll show you how high up in the air it's got to be in the sketchy operation we're having to run in order to land this thing, but I think it's going to turn out really nice, guys. So hopefully this video's cool. I hope you guys are liking how the project's looking, and I'll definitely get going on the action here. As soon as our body mounts come in, guys, we'll land them right here in these holes, and we'll back this thing up over there, and we'll land that thing on there, man, and we'll be looking real good. I've got some 37-inch tires going on this thing, method wheels. You know, obviously this isn't a truck that's never been done before. I'm sure this same exact combination has been done, but I'm really hoping that, you know, this turns out to be one of the nicer ones. So Outcast Services at your service, and hit like, comment, subscribe, guys. Follow along for the journey, and once again, thank you.